Welcome everybody to our first ever webinar, slightly enforced due to the circumstances because we normally do these in person. Presenting today, I'm going to be doing some presentation myself, and my colleague Jordan Lamb, who you can see on the other webcam, is also going to be doing some presenting. We're promoting social distancing and we're not in the same office, as you can see. There you go. And there we go. Right, so people keep trying to present. I'm just going to deny that. Hold on a second. So this is our first online platform to share. Our normal platform to share are in person. They are. We were going to be doing one yesterday, but we had to cancel it. We normally do it in a venue. It's normally 40 or 50 people. It's really around us sharing what we know with you and you sharing what you know with other people. You know, be it about IT or business process or efficiency or anything like that. But with the circumstances, we felt we had no choice but to cancel that yesterday. And then earlier in the week, we've had quite a few people saying, how do I use Teams? Because quite a lot of people are now, quite a lot of you are now having to use Teams. It's been slightly thrust upon you, but it's also a great tool. The demand has been for people to work remotely has been absolutely incredible, and the demand on the Teams system just this last couple of weeks has been absolutely crazy. There's a little blip out on Tuesday where some messages didn't go through. Yesterday I noticed some activity notifications weren't going through. Just to put it in perspective, how many more people are using Teams now? Back in November there was 20 million active daily users. Just as of a couple of days ago, there was 44 million active daily users. So it's doubled in a few months, and I'm pretty sure most of them has been over the last few weeks. Also to note, last week marked Teams' third birthday. So yeah, happy birthday, Teams. But it's been Microsoft's fastest ever growing application. Out of everything they've ever done, it's been their fastest growing application. So yeah, this webinar kind of came about because people were asking how to use Teams. And so some people are new to it, some people have been using it for a little while, and we felt it'd be a good idea to give a high-level overview of how to just use the basics of Teams. We're going to try not to get too technical, but undoubtedly some people might want something extra. We listened to some questions during the sign-up, and we're going to try and answer most of them as part of the presentation. There is a chat functionality. If you have any questions during the presentation, please ask them on the chat, and we'll endeavour to answer them questions in the Q&A at the end. So we won't answer the questions now, but we'll do them in the Q&A at the end. So first of all, I'm going to go through an overview of Teams. I'm going to do a demonstration. I don't have a PowerPoint really, apart from this screen here, to run through. I'll turn off my camera in a minute so you don't have to look at me anymore. I'll go through Teams. I'm going to go through the overview of it, doing chats, meetings, video calls, what are Teams and channels and how to use them, a bit about conversations, and a little bit about phone calls. And then when I've done that, Jordan's going to take over and she's going to demonstrate how to use files and folders and, you know, get stuff done with Teams. So, right, I'm going to crack on. Any questions, please do ask them. Oh, sorry, Josie, you can't see me. I'll turn off my camera now anyway. There we go. Right, okay. I've had a question on there. Can you all hear anything? Is anyone else having issues hearing?
I can hear you from here.
Okay.
I can hear.
There is if you're having trouble with your PC speakers or laptop speakers, there is a dial-in functionality on your phones that you can use. So I think you might need to just have a quick look at that. It's on the settings button. If you click on there, you'll be able to see. It will be recorded, so if you can't hear or you're struggling, we'll send out the link so you can just watch it in a web page, in a web browser anyway. Anyway, right, let me crack on with that. So Teams is an application that, along with many other Office 365 features, allows you to remotely work on any device, really. You can use it for instant messaging, chats, video calls, collaboration, working on documents together, sharing information. You can use it as a phone system. You can use it on a Mac, you can use it on a PC, an Android tablet, an Apple tablet, an iPhone, and so on and so on. Pretty much any device, and you can access everything in there. There's some little foibles about that, but I'll show you about that later. So I'm just going to go straight on with the demonstration. And before I do that, I'm going to put myself into Do Not Disturb so I don't get too many alerts. And I'll show you more about that in a bit. I've got things on my screen. There we go. Okay. Right, so this is Teams. I hope you can all see that. You can see a message with, I've got on the demo messages there. Down the left-hand side, you have activity. This shows you alerts, things that you need to be made aware of if someone's mentioned you or things like that, and we'll show you more about that in a bit. You have the chat functionality, so all your people you've been in conversations with down the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side, the actual chat panel. You have the main bulk of the system, which is Teams, so these are all the where the work is, files and other bits and bobs. I'll show you that again soon. The calendar, so this links in with your Outlook calendar. There you go, you can see everything this week. So if it's a Teams meeting, you can click on it and then you can join that meeting from there. You can schedule meetings from here too. Phone system, so you can use it as a phone system. Files are in there, and then there's other bits and bobs we can add in. We do custom work with people. We've done our holidays applications, and these are applications we've embedded in here to stop having to have, to go to too many different places, things that we used to do in SharePoint. Okay, so I'll take you through chats and meetings first of all. To create a new chat or a new instant message, you have this icon at the top here. You just click on that and it brings up a blank window on the right-hand side, and then you can start typing the name of the person you want to talk to. So I will use demo. Comes up with the name because it looks in the address book, so if it's someone in your organization, it's going to come up automatically. For instance, if I type Jack, I'll be able to see Jack Fisher there. Or Jordan, we've got two of them. We'll use demo for now, and I click on demo, and then it'll bring up the messages that I previously had with demo, and then I can start typing. If you can have chats with external people, it is something that can be disabled at the organization level. You can block external chats, and you can block external chats or allow external chats between you and another organization. Just an example of this, you just type in, when you do the new chat, you type in that person's email address. So here's one I created earlier. It says external, so it will tell you that it's an external conversation, and then you have your conversation as normal with that person. So you can chat and instant message and video call internally and externally. Let me start that again. So just a bit about information on a message. If I go to demo, you can format your message to someone. For quick chats, not many people do, we don't, but you can go to a rich format, bold, italics, you can highlight things, put in a paragraph. The next button, so I'm just going to make that bigger. There's a status button, so you can just send a normal status, that's the standard message. You can mark a message as important, or you can mark a message as urgent, which will irritate that person for every 2 minutes for 20 minutes. And it pops up and it just looks on the screen. So when you receive an urgent message, it will pop up on your activity feed. Keep messaging you every 2 minutes to say that, and then this is what it will look like. The urgent message from Jordan will be there. Okay. So back to my demo message. You can attach a file using the attachment icon. You can, if you've got OneDrive, you can upload from OneDrive or upload a file from your computer, so your documents or your desktop or a network drive, and you can send that to someone. Jordan will show you a bit more about that later. You can also, say if you've done a screen snip, you can copy and paste something else into that as well. You then have emojis and GIFs and all the usual kind of Microsoft stuff. You could schedule a meeting with someone from here as well. And if you want to, you can just have a video call with someone straight away. So if I'm talking to Demo here and I want to have a video call with Demo, I hit the video button and that'll start up a video call. At the same time, I can also do a voice call on its own. So if you don't want to see each other, you can just do a voice call. It's all dependent on having microphones and speakers installed and configured, and that so you want to do some testing around that before just doing it. And if you then want to, you can share your screen with people. So if you click on the share a screen button, I'm getting, hold on, that's in my way. I didn't realize we'd quite so many people, hold on. So if you want to share your screen, you click on the share screen button. You can share your entire desktop, or you can share a specific window to be shared with someone else, and so you can work on something together that way. Okay, share screen. Also, if you're then talking to someone, you then realize you don't want to add someone else in, you've got this other little button here. You can click on that. On the right-hand side, there are two people and the plus button. That allows you to add someone else into the conversation. It won't show your one-to-one conversations with someone previously, but it will just start a new conversation. And so it'll end up being something like this. Me, Demo, and Jordan have had a mixed chat here. And you can type here, and then Demo and Jordan will be involved in that chat. So that's a rough overview of chats. Again, I think there was a question just popped up. I'll answer that at the end if I can. Teams and channels. So onto Teams. You have all the teams that you're involved in down on the left-hand side. These will be your regular teams that you use. You'll find at the bottom there's some hidden teams that you don't use very often. If you want to hide a team, you can click on the three dots and click hide. If you don't want to be in a team anymore, you can leave that team. So there's a couple of options around there. You can also drag them up and down. So I want the webinar demo to be above there. So you can move teams around to make it easier for you. To create a new team, you click on the join or create a team button. If someone's got an open team or there's a team you want to join, you can use this button as well. Then you have the create a team button. You then get two options. You can, hold on, no, you can build it. I'd normally build a team from scratch. You have the two options to either create a private team so that only you control who has access to it, or a public team which anyone can access. So I'm going to, for the purposes, I'm going to create a private one. Hold on a second. I think a couple of people were having trouble accessing the meeting. If you just want to give our main number a call and ask for Sam, Sam might just be able to help you get on the video call, by the way. I've just noticed that that's popped up there. Sorry about that. Right, okay. Yeah, so if you're going to create a team, you would give the team a name. Webinar test 2, I've already got one. And then you can put a description about this team, and you can click on create. It can take a few minutes in the background to set your team up. So you'll do this, and then some of the features might not work for a few minutes. I noticed this yesterday, especially everyone's lots and lots of, or millions of people are creating teams at the minute. There's a little bit of backlog. But just add people to a team that you want to be able to access the same information as you. You then just type their name in there. So I would allow Jordan access to that, say Sam and Demo, and they'd all then be members of my team. I then click on close, and it will go off, and it will create my new team. There we go. Where did that go? That's down the bottom there. Webinar test 2. It automatically does put it down the bottom of the team there, bottom of the list. And as you can see, if I go and click straight into the files bit, it's not ready yet. It's still creating that in the background. So that does take a few minutes.
And John, you can drag the teams up and down if you do want to drag it up, can't you?
Yeah, exactly. So I can just grab that and move that one to a better place if I want to. There we go. So once you're in a team, you then have channels. So this is just a test team, so we've just got some generic channels, general, channel 2 and channel 3. This is then the main part of the team. And in each team you have tabs. So each team is automatically created with posts. So this is where the conversations are, with files, so a file store. And this is where Jordan will come on to show you more about that in a bit. And then other tabs that you can add. So for instance, I've added a OneNote tab so that we can create notes. There is a default tab with a wiki, which again is similar to OneNote in that you can just put in information and notes and documentation. But these are really quite handy because you can use these on your mobile device as well. So you could take meeting notes, and then people in the office then have the ability to see the notes. So you're sharing information really quickly with each other. You can add new tabs. So if you want to add a tab, you've got lots of different options. You can add a Word document, an Excel document, you can add a website. In Office 365, there's a video thing called Stream, so any company videos you could add in there. I've done a demonstration form just to add one. I'm going to add a form. So part of 365, you have forms that you can create to do surveys and collect information. So I've done a test one. And then if I click that there, I'm just going to add this form straight to this tab. So anyone in the test team will be able to see that form and then submit responses. And so obviously, I'm awesome and 5 stars. I'm sure you'll tell me different later. So that's a basic overview of tabs. Back to the channels, you have the, as I said, the channels down here. I just want to say one thing just quickly. You can edit team members. So if when you're on the team, if you click on the 3 dots, you can manage team, or you can just add a new member from then, or you can just manage team, and that will allow you to change the status of different members, add different people to it, or change someone to an owner. There's lots of other bits, but it's a bit technical for now. So you can pin channels. If I use this, say for instance, if I use this general channel regularly, and I want to see that as soon as I get in, rather than it being lost down the bottom here, I can click on the 3 dots next to it, and I can select pin. And immediately it puts that, I say immediately, there you go, it puts it at the top there, so I can access that information straight away. Whenever I come into Teams, the stuff I use regularly, I can just pop up there. You can create private channels. So if, say, you have a group of people in a team, maybe 10 people, and you say, right, I want to make some information only available to a few members of that team, rather than creating a new team, you can create what's called a private channel. And it's the same way as adding a channel, but you add, rather than add, oh yeah, when you do it, you add a channel, and you can call it test, if you want. You change the privacy from standard to private, and then that allows you to add specific people from that existing team into that channel. So I'd just say, I can't remember who's a member of this team, but me, and I'll make Jordan. So only Jordan now would be a member, would be able to access information, and me as an owner would be able to access information in that private team. And you can see a private one because it's got the little padlock on it. I think that's my bit on channels. Once you are in a channel, part of the collaboration is around conversations, and so you have the posts, files, wiki, or whatever. I'd say it's mainly the conversations are done in here. So I was just going to demonstrate on the user group one. Just when we put this, we were originally organising our user group on here for the in-person one, and when we decided we were going to do this the other day, Sam posted on here. We only thought we'd get a few people attending, so Sam thought, oh, we've got 68 people, so we were quite scared. So obviously, then more people got interested, 182 yesterday, and Jordan added a GIF, a little bit concerned, and then I'm obviously excited. We capped out at the 200 people, so thank you everyone for joining. But anyway, so if you want to chat to people in the group, you would just start typing. So I'd say, hello, I'm doing the webinar, and then I want to tag people in that. So if I tagged people, as soon as you put the @ button as though you were going to type in an email address, it pops up with members of the group. So I'm going to tag Sam and Jack and Jordan. And as soon as I send that, they will then get a notification on the activity to say that they've been tagged into that. So that's really quite helpful. You can also do a video call. So if you're working in that team having a conversation, a couple of people are commenting, you can just hit the video call and it will bring up your microphone and speakers, and you can just all have a video call and you can share documents and use it that way. Channel notifications. When you're on a channel, if you want, you can change how you're notified on the channel. For instance, I might want to be told every time someone puts something on the user group channel. Most of the time, the default will be that it will just be, if there's something under there, you can see on this Windows 7 end of life, it's been put into bold because if someone's done something in there. But sometimes you want to be told, you can have a notification in here, and you can have it'll pop up in the activity as well. So you can go into here and you can say channel notifications, and you can change all new posts. I've set this one to banner and feed already, so the banner is down here, and then the feed will pop up on the activity to say that you've been tagged, you've had a message, someone's done something in there. So you can customize how you want it to be set for you to be told about the right things that are going on. Yes, that is paper. You can hear rustling. Just a little bit about phone calls. You can see not many people do this yet. We've only got one client using it, but if you're struggling with a phone system now, you can buy Microsoft Business Voice licenses and turn on Teams as a phone system. You can use it wherever. You can use it you can use the Teams app on your phone to call people. You get a geographic number, so you can see I've got an 0603 number there. Please don't call it. Not right now, anyway. It's got many features of a kind of a traditional phone system, groups, a couple other features. Groups, auto attendance, so you can put messages in when people call. Press 1 for this, press 2 for that. I'm not going to dwell on it too much because not many people use it. You've also got the voicemail is really cool on it. It actually just transcribes what comes in on a voicemail. So as well as playing it, when I left myself a voicemail,
hello, John.
It actually transcribes that, and it will send you an email with that on as well, and that works on the mobile app. I think that's all I really wanted to talk about on calls. Just a last little bit there for me on personal settings. Hold on a second, I've got to move a couple of bits out of the way. You can change your status. I've set myself to do not disturb for this, but you can have, the default will be available. It links in with your Outlook calendar if you're using Outlook on Office 365, and it will automatically change your status to busy if you're in a meeting. If your machine is locked and you haven't been available for a little while, it'll actually just set the icon to be orange and away, but you can manually set something of, I don't want to be disturbed or I'm busy. You can set that. You can go into the settings, and by default, Teams should auto start. If you don't want it to, why wouldn't you want it to? You can untick the auto start. You have, see under this one, read receipts. So when you send a message to someone, there's a little icon next to that message that ticks when someone's had a message delivered, and it should turn to an eye when it's been delivered, when someone's read it. I have a feeling Microsoft is struggling with that this week because I was looking at it earlier and it wasn't working, but it has been working. You have global notification settings under here that you can play with for how you want to be notified when you receive messages. And devices, so when you want to set PC speakers, mic and speakers, it's kind of a bit extra actually. And I think that's this. You can do a test call, so if you just, rather than calling someone, you can plug everything in that you've got, your microphone, your camera, and just run a test call, and you can see how it works and see if you're ready for it to work. Okay, I think that's me for now. I'm going to hand over to Jordan.
John?
Jordan, yeah?
Do you want to just show, because someone's asked a question about how you might video chat with an external person. I don't know if you want to just show how you might invite someone to a meeting.
I forgot about scheduling. Thank you. I knew I'd do that. If you want to schedule a meeting, internal or external, if you want to do a meeting with someone straight away, you would, if you're in the chat, whether this is internal or external, you would just hit the video icon. If you want to schedule a meeting, so maybe next, let's have a look at this. Maybe next Monday at 1 o'clock, I want to schedule a meeting. That was a bit quick, sorry. I'll slow down. You go to the calendar, you pick a time and a date, you just click once, and it comes up with the option about scheduling a meeting. Really similar to like the Outlook calendar. And so you put in, so meeting about meetings. You then type in who you want to join. So I might say, let me say Jordan. And then if I want someone external to join in, so anyone that you know is using Teams, you can do so. I'm trying to think who I've done one on recently. I don't want to embarrass. I'll just use my my Matt at probytes.co. That's probytes.it. So he'll then get an invite. So if I do that, you can make it. You can set the time, start, finish. You can put a recurrence in if you want it to be a recurring meeting. And if you want it to be about a specific channel you've been working on, you could make that. And then if not, you just type the details here. Meeting information.
Just on that one, the external user doesn't necessarily need to have Teams, is that right? They can just log in via a browser?
Yes, that's right. So if someone doesn't have Teams, they will be able to access all the Teams features there. The meeting, the video conferencing on a Teams, on a web browser, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jordan. So once you've done that, you then send that, and then that's in your calendar there. That also syncs with Outlook. So if you're in your Outlook, you'll then be able to have that meeting pop up as a reminder on your desktop, and then you go into that meeting, and there'll be a link within that meeting that you click on that says join now. The other type of meeting you might want, if you have to bear with me, I've got the chat here, is a live event. So you can do, which is more of a broadcast. It's not one-to-one chat, it's one-to-many. So if you wanted to broadcast to a few hundred people or 10 people, we were going to try today's event on the live event, but it failed spectacularly. You can't really Teams within Teams. So you would do a live event instead. You give it a title, and you fill in the same details as usual. There are then other options. It will give you a link that you can email out. You then got other options like you can record it. That records and saves that meeting or live event into Microsoft Stream, and then you can make that available afterwards. Some of the recording features on Stream are pretty cool. It will transcribe what you said, so it's using a bit of AI there, and then you can if you go back to that recording in future, you can go to that meeting, type in a word you know was talked about or a subject, and it will tell you all the places in that meeting that a certain word was said, and then you can go and review that, so you can get to information a bit quicker. You can make it a public event, and then people can just attach to that using a web browser. Does that answer that, Jordan?
Yes. Yep, thank you.
You can record normal meetings as well, and I can't remember the buttons, but you can go into it. If you're in a meeting, you can record that meeting. So if it's just a one-to-one, you can have that recorded too. Right, I'm going to hand over to Jordan now, if I can find her in here. And Jordan's going to talk you through how to use files and file sharing and things like that. Hold on one second. Jordan and ask presenter role. Can you tell me if you get that?
Okay, I think I'm there. Can everyone see my Teams?
I can see.
Yeah?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm here to talk a bit about the file and folder storage. So more and more people are moving away from having servers and putting all their files and folders in the cloud. A lot of you will probably already have an Office 365 license, which means you already get this as part of your package. So it makes sense to start using it anyway. So there's obviously different ways you can store your files and folders going forward. We tend to use a format in terms of the areas of the business. So you can see we've got the admin team, we've got the sales team, the service desk team, and so we just group it in that way. All of this is stored in SharePoint in the background, so some of you might already be familiar with SharePoint or know of SharePoint. It's just that Microsoft have developed this Teams app as a kind of overlay for that and just trying to bring everything into one app, so you've just got one place to go from going forward. You can obviously use it, you don't just have to use it for areas of the business, we use it for projects as well, so you can do the same thing. It works really well in terms of having a chat, so these posts based on a team, so that could be quite handy for that. John's obviously already demoed a bit of that, so that's fine. So if I just show you more about the files. So this is our test team, obviously, this is our file setup. It's the way it defaults in terms of the view is last modified. So you can see here it just defaults by that. If you want to just organize it in terms of alphabetical order, in terms of the files, you can just do that by clicking on the name column and organizing it that way. That has been a question that's popped up every now and then. If you find that you're working on one or two documents quite regularly, the same way John has pinned a channel like that, you can also pin documents. So if this is something that this test document one, if I use this every day, I can just pin that to the top so that when I come into this team, it's just there. I don't have to filter through if there's loads of files and folders, so it's just there for me to work on. You can also make, so you can make a folder pinned to the top, and you can also make it a tab. I'll just do it just to show you what that looks like. I'm not sure that I would use that, but some people might want to use it that way. So it just has it as a tab at the top there. Just again for quick view, really. So going back to the file structure here. So a couple of ways you can work on a document. So you can just click on it. And it will, in one moment, open within Teams. So this is just the web version of that document. So you can work on it fine. If it's a Word document, it's absolutely sufficient for that. It's just a little bit less functional than the full version of Word. You can also work on it at the same time as somebody else, or multiple people. So you can see that John is in this document at the moment. Oh, he's just disappeared. Nice. So if somebody is working in that document at the same time, it will just pop up that they are in it, and I will also, oh, here he is, he's back. There's his cursor, he's typing. I can type at the same time, so we can work on this document together. We find that this comes in handy most often in finance departments where people are working on spreadsheets together, things like that. Just make sure that nobody overwrites anyone else. And so the three dots up here, you can see, you can open it in the desktop app. So that just means that you open it in the full version of Word, so that just gives you a little bit more functionality. Just give it a second. But it works in the same way, so you can still collaborate. Oh, good demo.
Good demo.
There we go, flagging. So you can work on it in the same way. You can still collaborate. You can still have multiple people working in it at the same time. You can see John Gosling is here. Still see his cursor, so you can still do the same stuff. You've just got more functionality. As everyone knows, Word you can see that there. At the top, let me just move my chart. So you can see when it was last modified. You can also, I think you can get version history straight from here, but I'll show you a bit more about that in a second. As you type, it will show as saving, so it will just save every time there's a change, and then once it's finished saving and once you stop typing, it will save it. That is this auto save here that's turned on by default. Some people like it, some people don't like it. You can see now it's saved, so that's just saved as a version there. If you don't like autosave, if you find it a bit annoying, obviously when you go into a document, you can just turn it off before you start typing. I mean, it's something that you have to remember, so I know sometimes that can be a little bit difficult. But if you go into File and Options, you can just change those defaults. So in this Save option here, this is where this is all set, so you can just fiddle about that and change your defaults. Just because I know that comes up sometimes. So somebody did ask a question whether you can have multiple documents open within Teams. It's not quite there yet, so Teams is still fairly new. They're still developing it quite a lot, but on the roadmap that we'll share at the end, there is going to be functionality to have multiple windows within Teams. But in the meantime, I would just suggest you open everything in the full version. You can still work on it at the same time, so it's not going to make much difference in that sense. But for now, just have everything open in multiple windows like that. So hopefully that helps. Okay, so if I just go back to the team, and I'll just show you a little bit more functionality. So again, it's a developing app. There's some functionality that might be hidden at the moment. So if I just show you what that looks like. So these three little dots here, this is just the options menu for everything that's stored within Teams. If you open in SharePoint, I'll just show you what that looks like. So this is just where all the files are stored in the background. Some of you probably will recognise this kind of format in terms of SharePoint. So this will be all the documents that are stored in that team. You can see that the pinned ones are there still from where I've pinned them. And here are the documents and files. So two things that you can do within SharePoint that you can't quite do within Teams at the moment is version history. So if I just show you what that is, this is just a really quick and easy way to just, if you've overwritten a document, so you've left that autosave on, you've made some changes and you haven't really thought about it, you can go into here, you can see all the previous versions, who's modified, what date and time, and you can go back and you can restore or view those ones. So I think that can be a pretty big saviour if needed. And then the other thing you can do in here is you can share documents and folders with other people. So you can share them with people maybe that don't have access to that team, or you can share it with specific people. So this is where often I'll share with external contacts. So I'll often create a folder or area within a team and then share that out with an external contact. You can allow editing or not, and you can block download. So it means they can purely just view it within the browser. So that can be quite useful. And yeah, so I can just type in Matt@ProBytes. And then we can type a message. You can say, "Hi, Matt, here's the document we spoke about. Thanks." And then he'll get an email with a link and he'll be able to view that folder, that file even. So yeah, hopefully that is helpful. Just in terms, go on.
I was just going to say, you can share folders at the same time, so you could share a whole folder with multiple documents in it, or you could just share an individual file. Just what that might help.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, thank you. Also, I think John demoed sharing files within a chat. You can do that equally, so you can share it internally with people that maybe don't have access to a particular team. You can share particular folders within a chat, and that will give access to that folder or file as well. Okay, so the other really key thing that we find is this view. Some people aren't quite used to using Teams yet, and aren't ready to kind of make the change, and also don't find it very practical, which there are reasons for that. So going back to the old way of working in File Explorer, you can see here I've got some teams. So I've got the admin team, finance team, sales team. I've got all of these synced to my laptop, which just means that I can work on them in the old way. You can drag files in, you can move stuff around a little bit easier. So I'll just show you how to do that.
It will work offline as well. So if you're on a train or in the middle of nowhere, if you've got them synced, you don't need to go onto Teams to access them. So it's helpful from that way. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'll demo that in a second. But you can see here I don't have the test team synced. So if I just click this button here, it will use the OneDrive app to sync it. And fingers crossed this works. There we are, it worked. So now I have the test team in my File Explorer, which means I can take my laptop away, I can go and work on these documents anywhere. So you can see here the status, there's a cloud next to these files and folders. That just means that it's still stored within the cloud, it's not completely synced down to your machine. It only syncs down to your machine when you open it. So it's not going to take up loads of memory. You can see the tick there. It won't take up loads of memory on your laptop or PC. It's only going to completely download it when you are working it. So this means that I can now work on this offline. I can make changes, I can save it, and it will sync back with Teams once I get an internet connection again. So good for people that live in the middle of nowhere, I think. Probably the main one. And on trains, obviously. Yeah, so it also just makes, within Teams, you can move files around and folders around, but you can't drag like you used to be able to do. So to move files from one team to another, you would just have to click the options button, move it, and then just find the team or wherever you want to move it to. You can move it that way. Within File Explorer, again, it's just kind of moving around. So it's just that makes that a little bit easier. It also makes dragging in emails and attachments. So we've had questions before where Teams doesn't yet allow you to drag emails in or attachments from emails. So you can do it if you sync that team. You can drag emails in that way. The other way you can send emails and attachments into a team is every channel has an email address. So if I just show you that, so on the options of a channel, you can get email address. You can use that to forward emails and attachments. We've also in the past or very recently set up a scan folder, so from a printer, so where you would have scanned to your email previously, you can actually enter that as an email address and you can scan straight to a team. So that can be quite useful. And it just goes into a folder, it just creates a folder called email messages and it just populates them in there, and then you can do what you wish with those. So yeah, I think that's that little bit. You can still drag a document in Teams. So I don't know if I can just create a test document. Just show you. And you can still drag and drop into Teams. There you go. So you can still do that. It's not completely gone. It's just the emails and attachments that causes a bit of an issue. And so, yeah, so you've got files. There's a file app down the side here. This just basically brings up all your recent files and folders, or files, I think. So if you work on stuff a lot, you might just end up using this element of it. You can also search for anything, so that will search, sorry, just moving the chat, that will search any messages you've got, any people, any files. You can add filters to that search, so you can search by file type or in a team. So if you've got loads of files, that's probably quite useful. I think, hopefully, I've answered a lot of questions. I'm sure there's more, but without going into loads of detail, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much, Jordan. I'll take the screen back. Hopefully I won't break it. Has that gone now? Share my screen. I'll just unmute you. Right. Sorry about that. Thank you, Jordan, very much for that demonstration. It was really helpful. Just a couple more things, then maybe we can have some questions. If you've got any questions, pop them on the chat now. If not, we'll be sending out a feedback form, and you can pop any more questions on there that you might have. Where am I now? So I was just going to show you a couple of things. Teams is a constantly developing platform. Office 365 is a constantly developing platform. There is a roadmap. We'll send this link out. Obviously, that's not particularly catchy, so we'll send this out with as a follow-up. But if you want to go and see what's on the radar for Teams Office 365, you can come to this link. You can find the application you want to see, what updates or what they're going to be doing. And it'll tell you if they're in development, if they're being rolled out, or if they're, things that have already launched and that they're offering out. So improved channel file tab experience, that was rolled out last year. This year. A couple of other features I do know that are coming out, the multi-window, so being able to pop a window out of Teams rather than just have the one window. That should be fairly close. There's also an Outlook plugin, which means you can save, there's an Outlook plugin that you can save stuff directly from Outlook into Teams, because I know that's a bit of a bugbear for quite a few people. Right, so that's that. Another really good website, if you are struggling or got people in your company that are struggling, is the support.office.com. Free for everybody, has loads of good information, so you can type in something that you might want to research or find out about, or you can click on a specific application. Go into Teams. It gives you loads of how-tos on, say, Teams and channels or chat or meetings and calls, and you can go in here. There's some videos, how to join a meeting, and it's got all step-by-step documents on how to work in the system. So it's really helpful. See, it tells you everything you might need to know. Really handy. The videos are quite dry, should I say, so enjoy them. Sam, our marketing guru, has developed these, with the help of David, has developed these crib sheets that we're going to send to you. We're just updating some of the logos to all be the same, but we'll be sending these out to you as well. So how to have conversations, a bit of information about them, just to help get you going. Some, you can send them to your colleagues as well, some crib sheets, just all the stuff Jordan went through as well there. So hopefully that'll be really helpful to get you up and running using Teams. I'll just try and answer. There's one question that's come up on there. Can I restrict who can create Teams? Yes, you can. It needs to be done in the Office 365 admin console. We've done it for a few people, because if not, you can end up with Teams sprawl. People will create a team just for the sake of creating a team. So yeah, you can do that and only have certain people allowed to create teams. It's completely down to you if you want to do that. But yeah, if any one of our clients needs that doing, just let us know. Or if anyone needs to know how it's done, then get in touch and we can give you information on how to do it. Another question there, viewer 87, catchy. Did you say that others who don't have Teams can access meetings if invited? Yes. It will run through a web browser, much like most of you are probably doing with this Join Me meeting. So you can invite them even if they've got like a Hotmail address or a Gmail address. They'll be able to click through on a link and still be able to go. Is there a limit to how many people can be on a call? Yes, and I don't know what it is. It's a lot. The live event is, I think, 10,000 people. And I'm going to have to Google that quickly. 250 on a call. There you go. Someone's already put that on there for me. That's quite helpful. Thank you. Everything that's Jordan. So yeah, 250 people on a video call. That's not bad. It is, Jack. There you go. Does the Jordan, do you know this? Does the autosave function stop collaboration?
No. So I think when I was demoing that document, I had autosave turned on, and we were both working on the same document. It just saves every time there's a change. So every time it determines a change, it will save that as a version. Pretty sure that it will, with it turned off, it will do the same thing. It'll just be when you save it, it will be a version. John, do you think that? I'm pretty sure. We don't often work on it without autosave turned on. So
I'm going to have to go and research that and test it. I've not actually tested it. I think you're right, Jordan. I think it does save a version, but I will just double check and get back to you.
Someone's asked about backup as well. That was just higher up on their questions.
What was the question, Jordan?
So I think someone asked whether the documents within Teams is backed up. So Microsoft technically keep documents for 30 days. I think, is that still the case, John?
Yes, 30 days, yeah.
But it's not a backup, it's just in case of. But with the version history, I guess that's probably better than that anyway. So if something was to be deleted and you weren't aware of it for 60 days, that document is gone. So if it's completely deleted, that is gone. So they recommend a third-party backup for that.
Yeah, speak to us if you want one. So the next question I can see is, when in a group video call, can you have more than 4 people showed on a screen at a time? No, it's a current limitation. I think they're working on 8 or 16. So you can have everyone on the screen. I can't remember what, it's a codec technical thing. What it does do though, it should, if everyone's got their cameras on, it should default to whoever's talking. At the time, it'll bring their cameras up onto the screen so you actually see the people that are talking, especially if you've got 200 people on a call. That's going to get quite messy, isn't it? In fact, we did we're trying to have a daily call, and we had 25 people on the call this morning, and it's quite hard to actually have the conversation with 250 to 25 people just all trying to talk. Anyway, so maybe it's not great for that many.
Viewer 215, I don't have sync buttons on files. Do you know how I can get this?
I think it's gone. You go, John.
Well, I was just going to say it might be worth, so it's at team level, I think, but it might be worth, it'll either be at folder or team level that you need to sync it, but you can open it in SharePoint. So up until very recently, we had to open in SharePoint and then sync it from that bit. So that might be what you need to do on that one.
Yeah, I have a feeling that sync is one of the newer features that they're rolling out across people's team setups. So if you don't have it, the way to sync is to open in SharePoint. It will load that page up, and then when you're in SharePoint, you have the sync button. You'll see it there. One of the things Microsoft are doing with Teams is bringing all of this SharePoint functionality into, and all the layouts are bringing that into the front end of Teams. So everything that you'd have historically had in SharePoint will come into Teams. So yeah, you'll be able to come into SharePoint and click on that sync button. I hope that answers that question. Okay, right. I don't have any more questions. Anyone got any more questions? Time for 1 or 2 more?
We can always follow up if people do have questions. We're going to send out a feedback. I don't know if you already said that, John, sorry. but we're going to send out a feedback survey on this. So then will be your chance to have any other questions as well, hopefully.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's everything. Yeah. So yeah, Sam will follow up with the crib sheets and the feedback form. Hold on. If auto fails or turns off, will it crash or just save the next time it's on? That will save the next time that you come back into that document or the next time the internet comes back up. If you do live somewhere, I know quite a few people live on rurally and don't have very good internet. That's where sync can really help. If you sync the folder and then you can work offline, work on that document, and it will just sync the changes as and when the internet comes back up. And so, yeah, that's really helpful from that point of view. Okay, all right, well, we'll leave it there. Thank you for everyone for coming on the call. Thank you, Jordan, for helping me do this. And thank you to Sam. I know that she can't talk, but Sam helped set all this up. And thanks for listening, Jack. And thank you, everyone. Stay safe. And if there's any interest, we may even do another one, or if there's any other anything about 365 that anyone wants to know, then yeah, we might be able to put on another one. Thank you ever so much. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.